I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. and I'll call on Councillor O'Hare to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Can you put it up on the screen, please? Thank you. Through you, the city of Thorold is situated on treaty land. This land is steeped in the rich history of the First Nations, such as the Hattaway-Wendarog, the Haudenosaunee, and the Anishinaabe, including the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation. There are many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people from across Turtle Island that live and work in Niagara today. The city of Thorold stands with all Indigenous people, past and present, in promoting the wise stewardship of the lands on which we live.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any declarations of interest? Any declarations of interest? Seeing none, adoption of agenda as amended, and I'll call on our clerk to put this up.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So it is on the screen now to reflect the referral of the item as described by the Public Forum Committee.
Okay, so that'll be added as an item.
Yes.
Okay. So can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the agenda as amended? Councillor, I got Councillor D'Angelo and Councillor Decker. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Adoption of the minutes. Can I get a mover and a seconder to adopt the open and closed minutes from October 1st and special council minutes from October 8th, 2024? I got Councillor Sentence and I got Councillor Didavides. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Mayor's report. On October 4th, CAO Manoj Dalwaria and I met with Niagara Regional Police Service Chief Bill Forty and discussed policing issues and concerns, as well as the continued growth of our city and its relationship to added policing pressure. Chief Forty agreed to come to council early in the new year to make a presentation and answer questions from council. October 4th, I was joined by Councillors Decker, Didavides, O'Hare, Sentence, D'Angelo, Longo, MP Vance Badaway, MPP Jeff Birch from 1 Thorold, Fred Neal, and city staff, and many guests at the First Nations Peace Monument rededication ceremony. Thank you, Carolyn McCormick, President, Friends of Laura Seacourt, and your committed team, which includes David Brown, Tim Johnson, and Larry McDermott, for working with renowned Canadian architect Douglas Cardinal, who was in attendance, to make the First Nations Peace Monument vision a reality. To all the donors who contributed to this project, we thank you. We are extremely grateful to world-renowned architect Douglas Cardinal, who has added the city of Thorold to the list of places across North America that host his architectural designs. Mr. Cardinal's dedication to truth and reconciliation is so strong that he provided his internationally celebrated design skills to this project free of charge. It is a gift of major proportion, not only to the citizens of Thorold and Niagara, but all of Canada. The memorial celebrates reconciliation with First Nations peoples and is intended to generate a deeper understanding of the important role First Nations peoples played in the founding of Canada. Also on October 4th, I attended the grand opening, open house, and ribbon cutting ceremony, City of Thorold's new Fire Station 1 and Emergency Operations Center, which was held at their new Collier Road, McClary Drive location. Joining me were Councillors Decker, D'Angelo, Longo, Sentence, O'Hare, Didavides, DeRose, former Councillor Fred Neal, MP Vance Badaway, MPP Jeff Birch, Fire Chief Cherry Dixon, Deputy Fire Chief Mike DeGasperis, CAO Manoj Dalwaria, and many city staff, including Jeff Holman, Maria Moros, Sean Dunsmore, Abu Rashid, many firefighters and residents as well. Thank you to architects, project manager Valet, and contractor Manacor Construction for working together with city staff to bring this project to completion on time and on budget. This is a facility that Thorold Fire and Emergency Services in our community can be proud of. October 5th, I attended the Ancestors Reflection Trail event held at the Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park, beginning and ending at the Thorold Indigenous Unity Garden. This was the first of many upcoming Ancestors Reflection Trail events planned for the Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park and organized by Michelle Elise Burnett. On October 8th, I attended the grand opening, unveiling, and ribbon cutting of the Van Stralen Griffiths Dog Park, located at 1884 Beaver Dams Road in Thorold. Joining me were Councilors Longo, Sentence, Decker, O'Hare, DeDavitis, DeAngela, Regional Councilor Whalen, city staff, and all residents, and all the residents who attended. A very generous land and bench donation from Ed and Jane Lipscomb allowed us to accelerate the build of this dog park. We sincerely thank you. I would also like to thank city staff for delivering a beautiful dog park, a true gem in an idyllic setting. Having an off-leash dog park fosters a sense of community spirit and engages responsible pet ownership. Also, a big thank you to Joe Krawchuk of Pet Value, located in the Pine Plaza, for donating waste receptacles and waste bags, allowing us to keep a clean park. And I can say that I drive by that park almost on a daily basis, and it's amazing the use it's getting already. Great community engagement. That park has just been a true gem. On October 10th, CAO Manoj Dawaria and I met representatives from Niagara College, Mabel Watt, Vince Malvezo, and Dr. Chris McGrath to discuss student housing and other issues related to Niagara College and our community. On October 16th, I attended the second annual Country Harvest Soup Fest held in the event court at the Penn Center. This fundraiser was hosted by Bethlehem Housing and Support Services, with proceeds going towards helping individuals and families who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless due to issues with poverty, physical disability, mental health, domestic violence, and family breakdown. On October 17th, I attended the Seniors Active Living Fair held at the Thorold 50 Plus Center, 8 Carlton Street South. Our age-friendly committee representative, Councilor O'Hare, brought greetings on behalf of City Council. There were many local vendors, 2 keynote speakers, presentations, and a free lunch was served. Thank you to the event sponsors, Thorold 50 Plus Center, TCAG, Thorold Age Friendly Committee, Older Adult Centers Association of Ontario, with provided funding by the Government of Ontario, and all those who attended. On October 19th, I brought greetings on behalf of City Council to the tree planting event held at the Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park. Joining me were Councilors O'Hare, DeAngela, Sentence, City staff, Manoj Dawaria, Jeff Holman, Jacob Tedesco, Scott Walton, and Natalie Stickles, and volunteers, which included a large group from 128 Thorold Flying Dragons, Royal Canadian Air Cadets. Thank you to the generous sponsors, Tree Canada, CN Rail, and co-sponsor Eco Connections, who contributed $10,000, along with Galt Nurseries, who supplied the trees. 60 trees were planted around the Mel Swart Lake Gibson Conservation Park to promote green space and support local habitats. The City of Thorold will be raising the poppy flag to recognize the upcoming poppy campaign, which runs from October 25th through November 11th. The Royal Canadian Legion Branch 17 Thorold will be hosting the annual Remembrance Day Parade and Ceremony on November 11th. The parade will form up in the parking lot behind the Legion at 10:20 a.m., and then the parade onto the cenotaph at Memorial Park for the ceremony at 11 a.m. 500 trees will be planted at the Eco Park in Port Robinson this Saturday, October 26, starting at 9 a.m. Thank you to members of the Niagara Peninsula Conservation Authority, TD Bank, city staff, and community volunteers for all your help and support with this important initiative. The 8th Toolbox Project Niagara campaign kickoff will take place at Thorold Fire and Emergency Services Station 1 on October 24th at 9 a.m. A pasta fundraiser will be held that same evening at Club Capri. Tickets are $15 and doors open at 5:30 p.m. The City of Thorold is proud to once again support this important initiative that Thorold resident James Simons began in 2017 to assist homeless individuals in Niagara with essentials for daily living this holiday season. Drop-off items like body wash, deodorant, toothbrushes, toothpaste, first aid items, crosswords, gloves, hats, scarves, snacks, etc. can be dropped off at either Fire Station 1 or City Hall before December 6th. Together, we can make a difference. Merrittville Speedway will be hosting their 7th annual Merrittville Market Fall Craft and Vendor Fair this Saturday, October 26th. It runs from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., and there are over 100 vendors and crafters registered, and it's free admission. Also, this Saturday, October 26th, downtown Thorold BIA will be hosting the Puppy Parade. Check-in is at 9:45 a.m. at JC Centennial Park, and then the Kids Trick or Treat to Street event, which was check-in at 11:15 a.m. at JC Centennial Park. So as you can see, there'll be a lot happening in the community this weekend. And that's the end of my mayor's remarks. What? Okay. Presentations, and I'll call on Sean Bayless, CEO of Pathstone Mental Health, for the presentation. And Sean, you have 10 minutes for your presentation, and it's always great to see you at City Council, so please come up to the podium.
Well, we all know that there's a very serious community challenge related to the increasing health costs that are happening right across Canada. We emphatically know that 70% of all children's mental health and addictions stem from childhood. So this being said, common sense informs us that we need to invest in children's mental health, because if you touch it at the very beginning, you don't have those long-term issues that take place that's really heavy on the healthcare. And I used to work in the hospital down at PERT and with the emergency department, and it's amazing the number of people coming in for emergency is more related to mental health and addictions than other types of challenges that happen. It is wonderful to be in your presence. You are one of the politicians on a municipal level that have shown that you really care and understand about mental health with children and the impact that it's having in our community. We've been expanding our services over the course of a number of years. One of the things that I came in board about 7 years ago, and one of my mandates in my own mind was the importance of being able to have people have access to care and have immediate access. And so one of the things that we decided to do was to develop the walk-in clinic concept. And what we've done is we've expanded to 10 places throughout Niagara. And Thorold has been one of the places that was well received, and you've decided to invest in that aspect to be able to have that counseling center at the library. What we do also know that the total walk-in clients served in 2023 was approximately 1,036, and total walk-in clients served in 2024 is 481. So a total of 1,517. I never know if I should say 1517 or so 1,517. The other thing is we've had over 7,614 clients coming through Pathstone in the past year and a half. So the numbers are increasing, and I think too, to be honest with you, that we've only seen the beginnings of a major upswing. And the reason I say that is because there's going to be a delay that's going to happen from COVID. That basically when those kids that went through that very difficult time, when they come to adolescence, which is usually the major struggle, we're going to see such an increase in that aspect. There's been a number of game changers that have happened at Pathstone to make things work better for the community. One of the ones is that in October 2023, Pathstone assumed the responsibility of directly receiving all child and youth mental health referrals from primary care in the community. There was a 3-month lag time being triaged, or to get them triaged at the time of this changeover. Within 2 months, of the transfer of this intake triaging function, Pastone was triaging in real time. We automatically were able to save 3 months people's wait before they got into treatment. We were very excited about that. The other major initiative that many of you know was the River House. It was in Welland. If you know Niagara South well, you know that there is a lack of resources for mental health and addictions. So we and a kind donor gave us a house to renovate. It is amazing in Niagara that when initiative takes place, how they contribute, and we were able to raise another $1 million just to renovate the place to make it so that it was state-of-the-art for working in a child-friendly environment. The third game changer is our Live-In Treatment Center. And that's the one down in Niagara where we have 10 beds. And that's where we have children that come in for about 3 months, and they usually are not able to function within their home, and hopefully through our process that in treatment that the parents and the child reconcile, and therefore the child returns back to home, which is a very significant factor. And we had approximately 53 youth that have done that in the past year and a half. We also put major renovations in, again, directly from the support of our community, so that we could have a very vibrant area for them for game room, sensory room, etc. Now, the facility you may be most familiar with too is in Thorold. As you know, it's the Mountain View. That's where we added the gardens and the natural playgrounds and the classrooms that were there. We also have what you may not be aware of. It does look like a school, but we do have 4 classrooms there. Kids that can't fit into the mainstream because mental health issues are interfering with their ability to understand the language or the information that's being shared. So they come into a small classroom, and we have a teacher, and we also have a counselor that works with them, and then they reintegrate back into the mainstream schooling, usually after about a year, sometimes 2 years. Some of the new initiatives that have happened, have you heard about Zane? Zane is our standard white poodle that had 2 years of training at the Lions Foundation in terms of a guide dog. And this dog has been designed to be able to provide therapy with the children with the counselor. So we have a dog that walks through our hallways and basically is the most friendly, kind. He provides hugs as well on command, something that we don't maybe get in our own family sometimes. However, the good news is that he has done direct services for the past for 200 hours of clinical work, and he's non-union. That's just for fun. And then we have equine therapy too. We have now a horse farm down in Fort Erie that our residents go to, and also what we've done is we've got somebody who specializes, so we're beginning to use animal-assisted therapy into the counseling, which gives another avenue for kids to be able to recover from their challenges that are happening. What you may not know as well is that we do have a research department that works closely with Brock University, with CHIO, and with the Knowledge Institute. And what we're finding is that we're able to study our interventions, see how effective that they are as well. The other thing about Pastone is that we've become leading edge. We're the lead agency in Niagara, but we're also one of 33 throughout Ontario. And what we've done is we've moved to an electronically driven system so that we're now data informed, and the data actually makes the decisions for us rather than anecdotal thinking, and therefore we're be able to become much more efficient in what we're doing. And it also sets in accountability that it counselors with regards to the work that they're doing. For the final thing, because I know 10 minutes is coming up very quickly, I just want to let you know that I know there's some elections coming up, and you may have some worries, and maybe your municipality, your elections are coming up next year. We have the worry monster. And what this is for children, it works for children, so I'm sure it will work for adults, so that when you have a worry at nighttime, you will open up the zipper on its mouth, you will put down your worry, you put it in there, and by the morning time, the monster is eating it. So if you ever need some assistance, this will work for all politicians as well, okay? And then finally, you probably all know about the Project Plaid. It's something that's a signature event. It's about bringing awareness to mental health. So in the month of November, you may want to pick up something that's plaid or wear your plaid shirt, and that's a reminder because of a significant event that happened many years ago. And I'm going to leave on a really positive note, is that in the last 5 years, I am unaware of any deaths by suicide under the age of 18. That's huge. So I believe it's been a combination of Niagara residents, community, politicians, and all those organizations that have been promoting mental health to talk about it openly. and being able to share it candidly, that it's safe to be able to do that without being judged. And I think that has made the big difference as what's happening across Niagara. So I touch when I say that because I know that something, if it does happen, is so unsettling for our whole community. But fortunately, because of all the interventions and the helpfulness, I think that's made a big difference. And I want to thank you all for that and for your investment in children's mental health. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Sean, and I'll open the floor up for questions. And Councillor Sentence, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. Thank you so much for coming in, Sean. I love these updates. The beds, I did not know about that we had the 10 beds. That is fantastic to hear. And everything else you guys are doing, that under 18 stat is astounding. I didn't know that. That's come a long way. So I really appreciate what you guys do. Zane, I don't know if Zane does house calls or where you can get a worry monster, but I hope people are listening. I hope you're advertising that stuff too. I used to get my kids a glowworm, but I don't think it had the same effect. So thank you so much for everything you guys do.
You're very welcome.
Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Sean, for your presentation. It was very enlightening. I'm glad that Past Stones is still at the library. I wish we could get more hours there. Hopefully in the future we can. The new facility that Mount View has there, sort of in between Welland and Thorold there. I know, quite a few people that use that facility, and nothing but positive feedback from there. And the Worry Monster obviously can be purchased through Past Stones, or?
Yes, I mean, we've actually, what we've done, we don't do it as a money raiser. It's just basically those that are of interest. We gave already, I think, 300 out to children at Past Stone in the different programs this past week. And so what we do now is people ask about it, and then we direct it so where they can get it through the website.
That's great, and thank you so much. It's really great to meet you this evening, and once again, thank you for your presentation. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Dendavinas.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Sean, for coming in. I want to thank you for all the help you do for all the children and families in Niagara. It's quite amazing. I got a couple of questions. Do you need volunteers, and how old do you have to be to volunteer?
We have volunteers from high school all the way up to 80 years old type of thing. The reason that the volunteers is basically they go through an orientation program. We have approximately 100 volunteers as we speak. You'll find that a lot of our, where we're having those booths of information, usually we have somebody there, and it's one of our volunteers that looks after that part of it. So we have a very robust program of volunteers. We actually have a youth advisory group as well, where we have our youth that help provide decision making with regards to different programs, that they're part of our consulting group. And so there's many that, they get their hours in for the volunteer services they require for school board. And so therefore many of them join us to help us out. And some even come down to paint and things of that nature too. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Another question, do you need a health card to walk in there?
Pardon?
Do you need a health card?
Oh,
Health
no,
card?
No.
No?
It's all they do is they can just drop in and they're seen, or they can call for an appointment and be seen. And the other part is that people can use, if somebody's from Thorold, and let's say it's opened in St. Catharines or in Fort Erie, or whatever, or Welland, they can go drive to that walk-in clinic as well if they wish to see somebody that day, because your walk-in clinic isn't opened on that day. So that there's that sharing piece that happens.
I just can't believe how many people are suffering out there. In all my years, I've never seen that. I'm around youth, a lot of people all the time, the past 37 years, and I just can't believe how many people are struggling and going through some hard times. It's just unbelievable.
The good news is, though, the referrals are going to continue to go up. There's no doubt in my mind. However, the part I love about it, if the referrals are going up, they're getting access to care. And I'd rather have high numbers, realize it. And then it pushes the system that we may have to go to the government or whatever for more money and things of that nature. Right now, they're pretty tight on money right now. However, this is when I'm always amazed at Niagara, because when we ask for money for a specific, they're going to follow through with some help in some capacity. It's just incredible.
Well, you're doing a great job. You mentioned money. I encourage people to donate. You have something online. People can donate monthly or just one-shot deal.
Yep,
You're doing a great job out there.
that's great. Thank you very much.
Councillor DeRose, go ahead.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Sean. Thanks for being here tonight. Sean, what do you see as your biggest challenge going forward? Like, how can we help you in any way? I
Yeah.
know money's always an issue, but
It
if you
is.
could be
I think-
specific.
I think it's more of maybe from a political perspective, is being advocates for children's mental health. And I mean from the provincial government specifically. The provincial government is what gives us the base funding from the Ministry of Health. And that's where 95% of our money comes from. If they don't provide us with base funding each year, which is about 5% that we need to be able to keep the lights on and be able to keep up with wages, insurance, and things and utilities, that's where you can really have a strong effect, that when you have the opportunity to make that as a mark, that there needs to be that. Because if not, we have to work within our budget, and consequently, that's when we have to do layoffs. When we do layoffs, that impacts the wait times. The wait times creates the decompensation of children. So it has that circular ripple effect. So I think that's probably one of the strongest things that you can do. And then basically, you know, Project Plaid's an easy one. That's where you just wear a plaid of some sort throughout the month of November. It highlights it. It creates a symbol now that allows you that you are very much support of the mental health services.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sean. And I see the effectiveness having students in and out of my class that have been in your programs.
Oh, great.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Keep up the great work. Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anyone else that has questions? Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Sean. Sean, thank you so much for coming in. Some really great news stories. I know it's a very difficult topic, but very nice that you are able to share some success stories as well. My question is, if a family is struggling at home with a child with mental health issues, what's the first step?
My suggestion with a family is to connect with a walk-in clinic, because then you have immediate access to a counselor who can do the assessment and then basically guide them as to what part of the system, or direct them directly to where they need to go for the right care. And that's what's made a big difference now that we are doing the actual triaging, because it's a counselor who's doing the triaging and then gets them right into one of our programs, or with the hospital, because we have a close relationship. They have 6 social workers that help us out with looking after youth and adolescents.
Great. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Anyone else? Okay, Sean, I want to thank you for coming in. If you have any information that you're looking to get out to the public, we can help on that regards as well with our social media.
Great.
If you send it through the clerks, then he'll get our communications person to make sure that we can do anything we can to get the word out.
Good. Well, thank you very much, Mayor. Appreciate it.
And
Wonderful
thank you
evening.
once
Thank you.
again. Okay, up next, delegations. And I'll call on Jonathan Chang for his delegation respecting CLKC 16-2024, respecting update, respecting Uppers Lane Road extension. And Jonathan, you have 10 minutes to present.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. My name is Jonathan Chang. I'm an associate lawyer at Stikeman Elliott. We're the legal counsel for Rudanko and Parkbridge. And I believe my partner and colleague, Mr. Calvin Lance, has been here before you on related items. And I'm here before you today. I believe there's an item that's on the consent agenda, item 11.1, which is essentially a brief update from city staff regarding the Uppers Lane extension. We had also written in on this item to provide a bit of an update from our perspective. And that letter update is in your revised agenda package. Just to put it simply, we had received, on behalf of our clients, the draft memorandum of understanding prepared by the city, setting out the parameters for the Uppers Lane design and the construction of that lane extension. We had also provided a response and comments, and I understand that city staff may still be waiting for responses from other stakeholders, but just to put it simply, from our end, we are actively engaged in the process, and we very much look forward to continuing to build upon this positive momentum that we've got going with city staff in ensuring the design and the construction of the lane extension is done appropriately and accommodates the neighboring landowners, this broader area, and the public interest. And we reiterate our eagerness and openness to meet with the city and to move this forward to a timely conclusion. So subject to any questions that council members may have, those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan, and I'll open the floor for any questions. Go ahead, Councillor Didavides.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question. Did all the parties come to the table and talk yet? Have you guys made any progress? Have they reached out to you? Have you set a date for a meeting or anything?
Through you, Mr.
So
Mayor.
that can go through to our legal counsel when the report comes on the floor.
Yeah, just from our perspective, there have been written exchanges, but there's yet to be a meeting set up. And we are keen to meet.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions? Go ahead, Councillor Hanlon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just a question. I just have some comments. On October 1st, this council gave permission to Rolling Meadows to build Uppers Lane. Afterwards, your firm sent a letter to the mayor and council telling us that we should have not allowed the Rolling Meadows to build the road. And then on October 7th, I know you sent an email to Tom Richardson and suggested that Park Ridge could build the road. And then on October 8th, you appeared before this council and wanted the city to build the road. My question is, the only proponent or landowner that hasn't been mentioned by your firm as to who should build the road is Rudanko. And I'm asking this to save us time. Will you be attending a future council meeting suggesting Rudanko build the road? I ask this because the only affected landowner that hasn't been mentioned by your firm or suggested to build the road is Rudanko. And to save us the trouble of dealing with this in the future, because this is now 2-3 times you've been here. And I would like to think all should have an equal opportunity to build the road. So I ask, will you be attending a council meeting in the future to ask that Rudanko be responsible for the road extension, seeing you have successed yourself, the city and Rolling Meadows should have done so? And I have all the emails. So you've already mentioned 3 out of the 4 proponents. The only one you haven't mentioned is Rudanko. So to save us time, because I don't want to go to another meeting, is this what's going to be going down the road? Is this just, because I have a follow-up question.
Just to respond, Mr. Chair, the concerns that we expressed on behalf of both Parkbridge and Rudanko are that the design and the construction of the Uppers Lane extension be done appropriately. I understand Rolling Meadows and Parkbridge are the adjoining landowners. So our concern is that the services in the lane are appropriate and that it's done in the sequencing and the timing is appropriate as well. And Rudanko and Parkbridge are both at the table, to my understanding.
So as of tonight, can I, just to follow up, Mr. Mayor, who is it that we're suggesting, if we were to discuss this tonight, to build the road? Who do you suggest to build the road? And I asked that, and I'm going to be upfront, because on October 16th, you sent an email to Tom Richardson in response to the memorandum of understanding and stating that you had no issue with Rolling Meadows building the road, after you came to council here and had us reverse our decision. And I got that right from the landowner, so I'm just asking you.
I'm not sure I have the correspondence that you're referring to. But we're fine with the city building the road, and whoever builds the road needs to do it in the proper manner and in the appropriate.
Well, my concern is, Mr. Mayor, if I can through you, is that we had a meeting, we called a special council meeting on October the 8th, because there was concerns with Rudanko building the road. And further to that, an email has been sent suggesting that they had no problems with Rolling Meadows to build the road. And when we go to open council, I have some more information to release to council that I've been able to.
Well, I think those questions will come when the report's there, Councillor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions for legal counsel? Go ahead, Councillor Sentence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, thanks for presenting tonight. I thought about something, question from last, I always think about things after the fact, after the last meeting. Whoever builds the road, do you understand that your trust should also come in council and our staff, that you want to make sure it's built properly? And I know your proponents are here and everything's done right. And do you understand that we're not going to do anything that would shortchange building in the area? Because what was said last time made me think, maybe you think that we would do something that would shortchange the road and then other people couldn't, and it bothered me. Do you understand that staff and council want this road built properly, and we'll do everything we can to make sure it's built to standards.
And that is certainly our hope and expectation through you, Mr. Chair. I think what we found troubling was that when we reviewed the engineering design drawings that were proposed for the construction of the road extension, they neglected to include, or they were not lined up with the latest plans and drawings, and they did not include the appropriate servicing to accommodate both Park Bridge's development and Rudanco's developments. And so it's in that context that we express these concerns, and we're glad that there is a process in place that appears now that there can be an appropriate sharing of the technical drawings, and these matters are done appropriately.
Right, we are at the beginning stages, so I hope you understand that, and everybody understands that. We're gonna make sure that it's done right, whoever builds a road. I just want a school built as quick as possible, so that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Yeah. Is there any further questions before we get to the report? Seeing none, Jonathan, thank you for presenting to council this evening.
Thank you.
Okay, in accordance with the city's procedural bylaw, CLKC 16/2024, respecting update of Uppers Lane Road extension will follow the delegation. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor? I got Councillor D'Angelo and Councillor O'Hare. So report CLKC 16/2024 is now on the floor. Tom, our legal counsel, Tom Richardson, do you want to start us off here? Absolutely, go ahead.
Just a microphone.
Oh, your mic, yeah.
There you are. I'm never accused of being quiet. There you are. On October the 12th of this year, staff and myself sent out a draft memorandum of understanding to both Rolling Meadows, Rudanco, and Park Bridge, and the very same day, we send a copy of it with a letter to each of you on council. The intent of that was to try and bring all the parties together, and so that memorandum of understanding expresses a way forward with the city building the road. And I think it has had some success, and in fact, I would take Mr. Chang's submission here tonight as part of that, because we've had responses now from some, but not all of the interested parties. So Rolling Meadows wrote to us and asked whether there were other options available other than the city building, and we responded and said, yes, the city is prepared to consider other options. Mr. Lance for Park Bridge and Rudanco wrote back with a series of questions. That was on the 16th, and we responded the same day with information from our staff. Also, as was mentioned by a councillor, on the 16th, Park Bridge and Rudanco indicated, and I'm quoting, and this is without prejudice, it doesn't mean they're bound by this, but we are open to other options to build the road, including having Rolling Meadows Land Development Corp. Construct it, subject to Park Bridge and Rudanco's terms being included in the agreement. They need to be sure that their issues are addressed. Now, the memorandum of understanding identifies other interested parties that are not intended to be parties to the agreement necessarily, but they include the school board and Walkers. Walkers is another entity which fronts onto this road. You remember that the intention, when you heard from Mr. Gordon a month ago now, was to build the road from Barker Parkway east sufficiently to open up the proposed school site. The memorandum of understanding contemplates that the road would be built from Barker Parkway east to Town Line Road. So that it brings in all of that property along there, and Walker is another player. We haven't heard from Walker yet. We haven't heard back from the school board yet. And then I wanted to indicate to you that we had another communication on the 18th from Mr. Chang's office with respect to commentary on the draft memorandum, both on behalf of Park Bridge and on behalf of Rudanco. And we and staff are reviewing those comments. And finally, as you will know, Park Bridge had initiated an application in court against the city, and we've received a communication indicating that they are amending their application, making it returnable next January. And that we've had a communication indicating they're doing this in the hopes that that will open up discussion in a joint meeting. In other words, I take those all as being very positive steps, including Mr. Cheng's submissions here tonight. So once we have heard back from the school board and from Walker's, we will in fact move forward to have a meeting of the parties and see if we can work issues out. So while the memorandum of understanding proposed one way forward, there may be others. I'm a mere lawyer, I'm not an engineer, so you'll want to hear from your engineer. But I think it's a positive first step all around.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And now open the floor from council for any questions of staff regarding this. Go ahead, Councillor Decker.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Richardson, for your report. I guess my issue is that the reason we went ahead with the okaying of that road is so we could build this school. So now it seems like we're going to have to keep waiting and waiting and waiting, and there could be potential that we're going to lose this school being built. So and I'm sure it's not my only concern, but council's concern. So what can we do to get that portion of the road built so that the school can get built? Because that's what the ask was when they came to council, and I feel like that's being ignored at this point, that the reason we agreed to do this was so that we could get that school built in Rolling Meadows. So I haven't heard anything about that, and this concerns me that we have potential, if this doesn't get done, that we're gonna lose that school being built where it was supposed to be built.
Thank you. So I'll ask Jeff or Tom if they want to comment on that.
Through Mr. Mayor, the discussions we've had with the school board have been very brief. We've sent them a copy of the MOU, and they were going to send it to their lawyer, who was away last week. So we're expecting some comments back this week. The kind of preliminary comments were they appreciated and liked the idea that the road was going to be extended out to Town Line Road. Their concern was about the timing. And that seems as though it's a matter that we can resolve, knowing that if it has to follow a city process, it will take maybe a little bit longer than if we had another arrangement. But the key here is that the guiding principles of the MOU are achieved, and the timeline of all the stakeholders is acceptable. And that's our target, and that's where we hope to be, and I still think that there's plenty of time to achieve that.
Thank you, Jeff.
Councillor De Davides.
Mr. Mayor, a question, Jeff. Is the school committed? Do we have a deal? Do they have a deal in place? Do we know there's a timeline? Is this just talk, or are they 100% committed to coming to the Thorold? Because we keep on talking about the school. Have we seen any paperwork that it's a done deal?
For you, Mr. Mayor, we're not aware of the closure of the deal. I think there was a memorandum of understanding between Rolling Meadows and the District School Board of Niagara, subject to a number of conditions, and we're working through those conditions. And I believe they still have to go through a severance process in order to create the lot. I may be mistaken on that, but that will require a certain timeline for that to go through its process. And there will be commenting agencies that will participate in that process. So the fact that there isn't a deal in hand shouldn't give us any cause of concern to negotiate going down this path. Ultimately, the area needs a school, the school board's interested in locating there, and the road needs to be built. So if we keep moving ahead on those three fronts, then I'm sure the timing will fall into place.
Yeah, I just don't, when we talk about the school, there's like a sense of urgency. We have to get it done. There's no deal yet. Deals could take a long time to build. Schools take a long time to build. I just want to make sure we do this right. And I would like to know 100% if the school's committed to that spot. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Councillor DeAngelo.
Thank you.
Then I'll go over here. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. But that was my concern too, is when the suggestion was made at the last meeting, we really needed to get all the parties working together, and it was the timeline that was concerning to me, and the person that didn't really, or the organization that didn't really have much input into the previous council discussions was the school board in terms of timeline. Because again, we all agree we want the school, we all agree we want the road, but we were concerned when it was presented to us at the very first time that there was like a 100-day limitation that we had to get this road started or in place before the school would start. So to me, as a counselor, I really need that nailed down, because everything takes time. The school is not going to be built overnight, but does the timeline meet the school? Does it meet the developers? Because that's the key component of moving forward. And so the lack of the school board committing to the timeline is sort of troubling to me at this point in time. Maybe next week they'll have that answer. But I was hoping to sort of wrap it up today and move forward with who's building the road, how it's going to get done, and the timing of it's going to get done. So now it's being delayed even more. So we need a bit of a full court press here, and those organizations need to step up to make sure that this happens, right? Last thing from a council perspective is I don't want to build the road to nowhere if it doesn't meet the school board's timeline, and we don't want to lose the school. So I don't know how we can expedite that. But to me, that's very critical, because it sounds like there's different options to build the road, but it was the timeline of the school that made the big difference of how we're going to get there. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hanley, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had a lengthy discussion today with Glenn Gordon and many options, and I've been given permission to say this today. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. But because the original deadline proposed between DSBN and Rolling Meadows has not been met, there is no agreement between the two parties, and as of today, there are no negotiations between the two parties on a new agreement, and there is no negotiation scheduled for the upcoming future. It brings me to say I'm not sure why we're discussing the construction on this road today. It seems, after discussing with Glenn today, that no one has been talking with Glenn Gordon. I talked with him this afternoon, as I said, about the last meeting, and he told me when council took away his permission to build the road this fall, his deal with the school became frustrated. He told me that's a legal term used to describe a deal that can't move forward. He can no longer build the road within the timeline in the agreement with the school board, so the agreement can't happen now. Without a deal with the school board, he has no need for upper lanes to be built right away. That's from Mr. Gordon himself today, and I've been given permission to say that. So as of today, it's a dead deal.
So Councillor Hanley, let our legal counsel, do you want to comment on that, Tom? Have you
And that's what he
been-
told me just before this meeting, Mr. Mayor,
Well,
just to let you know.
yes.
He sent me, that's an email from him.
I'm just gonna,
That's not my own.
I'm gonna let our legal counsel comment on that.
The agreement that is being mentioned is, I'm not familiar with the terms of the agreement. I was never provided to you in the presentation Mr. Gordon made. I think there were 2 pages out of the agreement. He's speaking about an agreement between he and the school board, apparently to provide the land so they could construct a school. Again, the city was not a party to that agreement, is not a party to that agreement. We're attempting to make contact with the school board directly, and you heard Mr. Holman indicate that we're waiting word back from the school board's lawyer. We'll then know whether the school board wishes to proceed, and there can then be a new agreement if they wish to make a deal with Mr. Gordon, or they may wish to make a deal with another property owner along the road. So when they say the deal's at an end, that was a deal that was rushed into you here a month ago, in which there was a timeline, and the expression that was of concern that was made by Parkbridge and others was that their interest needed to be taken into account as well. So the process that the council authorized and which we've been proceeding is to try and bring all the parties together to produce the road and the school. That's as much as I can say to you. As again, I was not familiar with, am not familiar with the terms of the agreement between Mr. Gordon or Rolling Meadows and the school board, but we're working to bring all of the parties together at the same time to see what we can do to establish that.
We'll follow up to that, Mr. Mayor.
Follow up, yeah.
Since our last meeting, did you receive an email from Park Ridges and Rudanko's lawyers suggesting that they had no concerns with Rolling Meadows building the road?
As I read to you just a few moments ago, Mr. Mayor, from that
I
email.
just wanted to make sure.
I'll read it again. Without prejudice, Park Bridge and Rudanko are open to other options to build the road, including having Rolling Meadows Land Development Corporation constructed, subject to Park Bridge and Rudanko's terms being included in the agreement. We've not had any response from Mr. Gordon to that submission. Simply, Mr. Gordon also asked whether there are other options, and we advised him that yes, there were. So that's why we'll want in due course to sit down and talk with all the parties and follow whatever option is best to satisfy all of them.
Thank you. Just a comment, Mr. Mayor. I think as council we know, and I know, Park Ridge at the present doesn't have the equipment. Rudanko doesn't have the equipment. Rolling Meadows was our best option. Unfortunately, this is the roundabout that we're going about, and the road isn't going to be completed. If you read the city's report, it's due in July of 2026, whereas if we would have stuck with our original agreement, the road would have been being built at this time to the standards that all the previous roads that Rolling Meadows has built in the plan of subdivision and the 3 sections that they'd previously built. So to me, I'm frustrated for the fact that we're even here. We should be moving on. The road should already be constructed. And I have no other words to say that I may not or regret in the future.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Sentence.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, just a couple of my comments on this. I don't want any delays in the process, but I think we've been clear that this is what we want to do. I believe this can still be done. I believe Rolling Meadows should probably build this because I believe Jeff said last time we can do it, but it might take longer and we'll have to put our resources or projects behind in order to get this done. I think that's kind of what you alluded to last time, right? Could be a possibility that a project that we have in queue might have to be behind by this. So I believe Tom's on the right track with DSBN. What do you need to make this happen quick? And I don't care who builds a road. I just want this to happen as quick as possible. So let's get back to the table. Tell Rolling Meadows, tell DSBN, what do you need to make this happen in what time? So that's where I stand on this. I think we can get this done.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead, Councillor.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I just had a comment on Mr. Hanley's comments. I don't know any deal where you're going to rush into it with a shotgun to your head. If you don't take it right now, it's over. It's such a big deal to do. And the city can build it. It's not like the city's going to build the road. They're going to contract it out. We're not physically going to do it. We're going to put it out to tender and get some company to do it. To rush into something this big doesn't make sense. And you have to get all the parties at the table together so we don't get sued down the road. And I'm starting to believe there's no school deal. It's all talk. Till I see something, I've been in business for 37 years. It's all if till you see it on paper. So I understand what's going on here, but council did the right decision. You have to do your due diligence, especially with something this big that affects 3 different parties.
Thank you. So we know that the report's on the table, it's for information. We know that our legal counsel and staff are working to get an agreement in place, and they're working with all the parties, including the school board. So I think that we need to let them do their work. And that's my 2 cents. Is there anyone else before we vote on accepting the report for information?
I just want to say, they're the words of the developer, not my words. He sent me an email, so to what I said, Is it me speaking? I
but
just
he
want to make
can't-
that clear.
But he can send that information, work through our lawyer, Counselor Hans.
Well, he was late today trying to get a
No,
delegate.
no, and I'm
in.
not saying he wasn't, but I'm
Yes,
just
sir.
saying that he can work through his legal team, and all the legal teams will be working with Tom and our staff, and that's the path forward. That's the path that the council has asked to be done, and that's the path that our staff and our legal team is on. Okay? So, any further comment?
Well, given the fact that we have further information from Councilor Hanley here, we need to work on this in an expedited manner, because if not, we're just gonna sit here at the next council meeting and go through the same process. So can we direct our legal to give Mr. Gordon a call tomorrow morning, first thing, and see where we can go with this? Like, you know, emails are great, but, you know, a conversation sometimes, words go a long way of getting problems solved. And we seem to have a problem right here of not moving forward. So we have to try a different method. So I don't.
Well, I think you've already been in contact, am I correct, Tom? And you will be working and having discussions with Mr. Gordon?
Up until the memorandum of understanding, I had many communications with Mr. Gordon. I have had none directly from him since the receipt of the memorandum of understanding, other than the email asking if there were other options. I understand that he's informed staff that he's retained legal counsel, and I haven't heard from legal counsel yet. So I will reach out to Mr. Gordon, ask who his legal counsel is, and we'll reestablish that communication.
Yeah, I think it's important because, like I said, given the fact that we've heard this information and given the fact the school board hasn't really given us details, you know, we all want this to happen, but for some reason, there's something that's dragging this down. So, and sometimes you have to do things unconventionally. I mean, it's talking to someone, giving them a phone call as opposed to an email, talk to them directly. Like, you know, this has to get done because it's for the betterment of all of Thorold and the betterment for the region and the betterment for all those land developers.
And I think that that's been well stated, and council wants to see that our team work aggressively with all of them.
Yeah, but right now, we're stuck in the mud.
Well,
so.
we're not stuck in the mud, we're working through a process. Go ahead, Councilor.
Mr. Mayor, I agree with Henry said, but Mr. Richardson, I can see all parties to give a phone call to, not just one party. Call them all and try to get them all together instead of just reaching out to one party.
Go ahead, Councilor Longo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was trying to bite my tongue, but it never works. So, last meeting, every developer, every party involved that we'd spoke to said that this was a priority to build a school. And we put it in their court. We put it in legal counsel's court to get them together. Mr. Richardson's done his best. He's tried to get them together. To find out that somebody's on holidays and can't return a call for a week, how important is this to them? To find out that the developers can't work this out, how important is it? This council wants a road built and a school built, but we can't do it. We need them to work together. So Mr. Richardson's doing a great job. He's trying to bring the parties together. They're not working together to do this. That's my opinion. And they need to put their differences aside and figure this out for the betterment of the community. They all said they want a school. Prove it to us.
Thank you. Okay. It's been a good discussion. We've got a report on the floor that we're accepting for information. Had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. We have 3 consent items, 11.2, 11.3, 11.4. Are we adding anything?
That's consideration.
Is that added to this?
It'll be added 12.4 item.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the other item that came out of public forum will be added under items for consideration, just so council's aware. We have 3 items here. Can I get a mover and a seconder? I got Councilor O'Hare and Councilor Decker. Is there any item that someone wants to speak to? Go ahead, Councilor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just item 11.4, bylaw enforcement statistics. Again, I appreciate staff putting this together to keep council informed of what's happening with our bylaw department and what their focus, what they've been ticketing out there or enforcing out there. So it's a clear indication. I like how they've done a 3-year and then by quarter. So you get to see some trends in there, and I think it's very good. Under statement by councillor, I do have some other comments regarding bylaw, but I'll leave them at that point in time. So that's all I just wanted. I find the report really good, and you see good trends in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we got 3 items. We had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Items for consideration. Up first is 12.1, CLC 41-2024. Our Heritage Committee motion concerning turning of the sod commemoration funding. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor? Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Sentence. And I'll wait for the clerk to put it up. Okay, is there any discussion on this? So I just want people to understand that the money's already in the budget, it's just getting moved over for this event, okay? And that if you go back, the plaque funding has been taken care of by the St. Lawrence Seaway are paying for the plaque, okay? Okay, any discussion on this? Go ahead, Councillor DeAnge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad to see the Seaways involved. Usually, traditionally, they would sponsor the whole event, the William Hamilton Merit Day, where they recognize the creation of the canal. So I wish they would be sponsoring the whole thing, but that's different. My only concern is I just want to make sure we're not contravening any of our policies. The special occasion permit, are they looking at selling alcohol there or just giving that to the attendees at the luncheon?
Question I can't answer. Do you know the answer to that, Councillor O'Hare, because you sit on that committee?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, the reason for the request is to hold a toast. The original turning of the sod included a toast to the success of the Welland Canal, and the committee felt it fitting to also raise a glass and toast this 200-year celebration. So there will be no alcohol sold.
So because it's a toast and it is champagne or whatever, that's why the permit, am I correct?
That's correct. Local Niagara sparkling.
Okay. Councillor, are you good with that?
No, I'm good with that. I just want to make sure that we're
No, it's a
following our
good
city
question.
policies because alcohol can lead down a bad road at times. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. CLK 4-2024 eScribe meeting management subscription, and I'll let the clerk comment on this before I get a mover in a second.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. So just for clarity, you'll notice that there was a closed agenda package that was published, and it includes the subscription agreement. The reason being there is information within the subscription agreement that can be seen as proprietary. So that's why it's been included for your reference in the closed session. If council has specific questions about the subscription agreement, we can proceed into closed, and I can answer them there. Otherwise, if there are no questions involving proprietary information, we can deal with the matter here. So,
So if people are happy with the agreement renewal, we don't have to go and close. But if there's questions regarding the agreement, we need to go and close. Am I correct? Yeah. Go ahead, Councillor O'Hare.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, we've heard over quite a while now where councillors have been struggling and having difficulties with eScribe. I myself have experienced a couple of issues. I still find that we cannot print directly from the source, and I'm just wondering, have we looked at other possibilities, other options? I know perhaps not for this term, but maybe for future terms. I don't know if there are other programs that are available, if this is the only one. So that's my question, if there are other options that may even serve us better.
there are other programs. Whether they would serve the city better remains to be seen, but keep in mind that there would be a significant amount of retraining. eScribe is also very widely used across Ontario municipalities and within the Niagara region as well. So there would be quite a bit of work involved to get a new program in place, train current staff, new staff. That's just my 2 cents on that, Councillor.
I can tell you it's used at the Niagara region as well.
So,
But, that being said, my quick question is there a possibility, and I'm not saying after, of some sort of refresher training or training program?
Yeah, for sure. If there are specific questions that members of council have about the features of eScribe, they do work with their, as a vendor, they work with their customers to provide information, provide training. So I'm happy to take in all comments, questions, and try to get information for you going forward.
perfect, that sounds very good. Thank you.
First of all, can I get a mover and a seconder for this? I got Councillor Decker and I got Councillor Sentence, okay? Are there any further questions regarding eScribe? Is everybody good with the eScribe? Do we have to go into closed session, or are you good with the information provided and the answers you've received so far? Okay, I don't see anybody that wants to go in close. So I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. What one? Okay, okay, so DS 39-2024 residential rental licensing amendments. Can I get a mover and a seconder to put the report on the floor? I got Councillor O'Hare and Councillor Hanley, and just to let you know, Jason Simpson's will be online as well to answer any questions. The report's on the floor, and I will open the floor for questions. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. One item that I would have liked to see in the report, because I think it's important information. I wasn't here when it was instituted. I believe it was 2017. What I wanted to see from my perspective is a budget from each year from the inception and how this program's running, because it was my understanding that this program was supposed to be self-funding itself. And
It was supposed to be a program that was funded, and it was designed to be revenue neutral from that funding perspective.
Okay, so that's missing in this report. We just see what the amendments are, but I don't see how the program's has worked in the past, and how it's gonna work in the future with these amendments, and what the cost of the license is gonna be. I know there's a paragraph here, because I've been pushing for what was, I call graduated licensing based on your behavior as a landowner. I know it said here that it wasn't really an option. So because of that, I want to look at a different type of option, because I don't think we're rewarding those that are doing things honestly and properly. So if there's a funding, and I know through discussion with staff, there's been a lot of money collected in terms of fines for those that are not following the proper procedures in terms of rental housing license. So if there's excess funds there, I think they should be redistributed back to those ones that are doing a proper good job. So if they need to receive a rebate check because of last year we collected too much in fines, because it's a self-funding program, we're not here to make money on this. We're here to make sure the program runs to achieve the results that were highlighted in the report in terms of safety for the individuals, and making sure these landowners are compliant with living in our community, as opposed to having houses that are messes all over the place, because there's quite a few problematic houses, and they seem to drag us down in terms of reputation, and they drag us down in terms of staff allotment and time. So before I'm not comfortable passing this report. I think I want to see how the programs run through some financial numbers. I was hoping there was an appendix with that. What the costs would be associated continuing going forward, because I know they were looking potentially at changing the cost structure of that. So to me, that's important to have in here. And then also look at a potential, how can we manage a rebate program if there's funds there into the next year. Those are two things that are not really captured here for me, so like I said, I know there's amendments here, but I'd like to see how those amendments are gonna be focused in next year's budget too, so I would like to see the budget for next year before I start approving additional staffing resources to this. I wanna make sure that those numbers align and we have a program that's running appropriately. I can't tell without looking at the numbers, so.
Thank you. And Jason, you're on. Do you want to comment on any of those comments made by Councillor D'Angelo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I can say that we have been working on the application fee for the residential rental licensing, taking into consideration the proposed additional staffing required to keep the program running. Right now, we're sitting tentatively at approximately $550 for an application fee. Currently, the application fee is $500 for a new license and $400 for a renewal license. As I mentioned, $550 is where we're sitting at right now. The only hesitation to putting it in this report is we're seeing if we can lower that any further than $550, which we can bring to a subsequent meeting of council. All of these proposals in this report will require a bylaw amendment as well. So that would have to come at a future date anyways.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
Yeah, just on that point too, because we had a presenter here earlier who mentioned there's a lot of rental properties and some of them are probably not even licensed. I guess one of the questions I have, if a property is not licensed and they've been renting it out for 3 years, do we go back and charge them extra for that? Like would their fee double? Is there a penalty for not following the rules properly? Just through you, Mr. Mayor, if that could be addressed.
Jason, I think the fine is the penalty, but I'll let Jason answer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, you are correct. The penalties associated with renting a rental property without the business license is the penalty. The application fee remains the same because the application fees are not intended to be penalties. That's what the penalties are in place for. So current practice, the penalties are $700 and they get issued periodically depending on how long somebody is licensed. We'll charge up to $700 weekly, depending on how long they continue to go in contravention of the bylaw. We could go up to $700 per day if needed.
Just so I'm clear, do we go back retroactive if they've been have rented the property? Because because I know there's properties out there that are owned by outside landowners of Thorold or the region, and they just don't care. So they just continue to collect their rents. And meanwhile, there's honest, law-abiding citizens who take care of their properties, paying the fee while others are not paying anything. So there's a bit of injustice there that we need to work on, and that's more of a rhetorical question.
No, and it's a good point, but I think that's one of the reasons for the report and the ask, because they need the resources to do the investigations. So, but anyway, Councillor Hanley, go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to put a deferral motion and refer items 2, 3, 4, actually, excuse me, 3, 4, 5, and 6 to the 2025 budget deliberations.
So what are you referring? I gotta see this.
Item 3, that council approve the creation of one additional bylaw enforcement clerk position effective January 2nd, 2025. Number 4, the council approve a pre-budget approval for an operating budget increase of $85,000 to cover the cost of an additional bylaw enforcement clerk and a capital budget increase of $5,000 to cover the purchase of a computer and office equipment and supplies for the bylaw enforcement clerk funded by the rental licensing fees. Number 5, the council approved the creation of one additional fire prevention officer effective January 2nd, 2025. And number 6, the council approve a pre-budget approval for an operating budget increase of $145,000 to cover the costs of an additional fire prevention officer and a capital budget increase of $80,000 to purchase a vehicle, computer equipment, radio, and related equipment to the fire prevention funded by the residential rental
So you're
licensing fees and
okay,
penalties.
you're okay with everything other than basically the two?
Any
the
expenditures
closet-
I want to put over till the
But you're
budget.
okay with the overrun of 10,000 to
Yes,
get
yes,
that stuff
yes,
done? Okay.
yes.
So, that's, give me those numbers again, Counselor Hanley?
Number 3,
Yeah.
number
three.
4, number 5, and number 6. They're all basically related and the same. Can I ask you the reason? Can I mention the reason? They want to start the position in January 2nd. We're going to be in the middle of budget deliberations at the time. So let's hold it over to then.
Can I get a seconder for that? Counselor DeRose. So, that's not debatable, right?
That's correct.
Okay. One sec. I'm just waiting for the clerk. The clerk, we got to move
So-
in a seconder to refer 3, 4, 5, 6 to budget, correct?
Okay, and then so for,
Then we'll deal with the rest of it.
okay, let me just,
I just want to make sure we got it the way, let me just get this first.
Ask for a friendly amendment.
If you, if, it's a referral to budget, so if you agree with it, you support it. If you don't agree with it and you want to do something different, you turn it down. That's the way it works. And we had a mover, Counselor Hanley, and a seconder, Counselor Droulos. No, I'm just waiting for him to put it up.
Can we discuss this, Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Well, one sec.
Referral, not a deferral.
Are we gonna?
Deferral.
All you're doing is striking those four items.
well, I've worded it, the following items and recommendations, they be deferred to.
Referred to budget, not deferred, referred.
Referred. Not saying
Is
anything
this
gonna happen.
debatable, or is it not debatable?
I would say it's not, but you make the call.
Okay, the clerks inform me that this is not debatable, it's a referral to budget. If you agree with it, you vote for it. If you don't agree with it, you can strike it down, and then we can continue the discussion, okay?
Point of order. A referral, is that the same, are we defining that the same as a deferral? Because a deferral is non-debatable, but a referral, we're referring it to staff at another time. So I should be able to have some comment on this, because there's some stuff I disagree with, and I'd like the rest of the council to hear it before we get there.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, we'll go that
It's
route.
referring, so.
Okay.
It's in order.
Okay, I had Counselor DeRose, not Counselor DeRose, Counselor Longo first, then Counselor. We'll discuss that, okay?
My hand was before, but I'll heed
Well,
the
he
floor.
had his up during the discussion.
No, my question's been answered. I just wanted to make sure we were able to discuss this. So I will yield the floor to Counselor D'Angelo because he was first.
Thanks, you're too kind. My comment to this is, this program has zero, okay, if it's run properly, this program has zero impact on our operational budget, because it's supposed to be a self-funding unit. So I don't want to wait all the way till next March or April to get this looked at, because staff need to start making some alterations in the program, because it's not running exactly the way council wanted. So that's why I need to see the numbers and seeing how it's running. Is it making money? Is it losing money? How are the additional staff going to make a difference? I know we're behind on reviewing licenses right now. Without the fire prevention officers, it can't happen. And I know there's issues there of trying to get that done. It's not fire prevention's top priority, They have their own concerns from a fire perspective. This is an add-on that they were doing. So this one fire prevention officer is going to just concentrate on this program to get us caught up to date. Because right now, if we don't get caught up to date, there's people out there that are unlicensed, there's people that are waiting for licenses, and people that are complying are paying for the program. So there's others that are not paying for it. And because it's not going to affect our operational budget, I would rather see the information I asked earlier to come back. November might be tight, but maybe in December, come back with a report, show us how this program exactly works, how it's funding itself, and then let council, at that point in time, I'm hoping this is a friendly amendment that if we could refer for that additional information. In December, if council still wants to wait and push it to budget, they can. But at least I think we'll have more information on how this program runs, because I have no idea, I don't think I've seen a report yet on how this program runs since being on council, and I wasn't here when it was implemented, so I don't have all that information in front of me, and there's three of us that fit that category.
Yeah.
So I think that additional information, and it gives staff some time, if they're gonna go through the hiring process, if we defer this till next March or April, when the budget's passed, it's going to be a couple months before you're going to hire people. So you're really looking at getting the program adjustments next July, August, September, maybe October by the training and everything else being in place. So you're looking at a year away before doing anything. And I think Jason, Mr. Simpson, our director, has brought forward some legitimate issues that need to be resolved, and I don't want to wait a year to resolve them.
Yeah, and he's expanded if you look at the report, it's expanding some of the asks that came from council, which was the graduated system, which was the short-term rentals. There's a lot of more meat in this than the existing.
Yeah, you're correct, Mr. Mayor, and even the fee, it hasn't been really nailed down, so if that can be worked on, that would be good for council to have a good understanding.
Councillor Hanley, are you good with that? Councillor Hanley?
Yeah, so what do we want to do here?
It'll be the existing report, and we'll come back, we'll get a report either in November or December, and then once we have that more information, we can make a wholesome decision.
So we're not going to make a decision tonight, we'll wait till we get a wholesome report back? Okay, I'll accept it, and I'll hold my comments, because I have done statistical numbers myself, and we're actually down, so I'll wait till the report comes back and see what it does for comparing numbers. Yep. Well, the numbers are actually in the bylaw enforcement report, if you read the early report.
For more information.
That's the first time.
Okay?
It's down.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's.
Go ahead, Councillor Dura.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. I also want to ask Jason if he could just add a little more meat to the provisions. Number one recommendation, provisions specific to short-term rentals and bed and breakfast establishments. I brought this up about 3 years ago. There's not enough details in there for me to understand what these provisions are. And here, my one question that I do want to address, Jason, if you can, please. Are we making it so that the person has to be living there to rent out these rooms? Because that's the traditional bed and breakfast. What we're seeing is.
Short-term rental and bed and breakfast are two different things, okay?
Okay.
So,
Okay, so. He's got it, yeah, but he's got it in the same sentence, so that's why I'm addressing it.
no, it's a
Yeah.
good question, but I'm telling, it is two separate things.
Right, but
Yeah.
originally, my intention, when I brought it up 3 years ago, was to have it so that, and this is also for a housing shortage that we're facing, okay? The dilemma that we're facing. It should be, and I don't know if, Jason, this was your intention, that you have to live in that house to be able to rent out rooms. So I don't know if that was your intention, Jason, or
Jason, can
can
you
we look at
respond?
that for the report when you redo it? Thank you.
Jason, can you respond to that?
Certainly. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, that is something that was taken into consideration. It is not something that is proposed in this report, because it's been determined that the residential rental licensing bylaw is not the appropriate bylaw to address that. That is something that we may propose come forward in our zoning bylaw. The The zoning bylaw is the bylaw that actually regulates the use and regulates and defines what a short-term rental is. So that could come forward at a future date should council desire such an outcome. But as council is aware, our zoning bylaw has been under appeal for several years, so hence the reason why nothing has come forward to date.
Okay, so you're saying we'll kick the can down the road in regards to that, correct? There's still-
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, we can bring forward a subsequent report at a later date pertaining to the zoning bylaw with regards to this matter and several other matters that we would like to see addressed in the zoning bylaw.
Okay, thank you, Jason.
Go ahead, Councillor Simmons.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I like this report. I don't mind waiting for numbers if you want numbers. I thought our numbers came in last time where we were above water with everything and we were wondering why we were making money. That was a while ago, I understand that. So Jason, Terry, and Mike need people to do the job. That's what they're asking for here. And we've asked for some things that are in here. They're in here, and they need the people. So when it comes back, that's great, but I like your rebate system for the positive, if we're in the positive, but we need people to make this work. So I'll wait for it to come back, that's fine, but not at budget, next meeting, meeting after. And I know you're short-staffed, Jason, so we're asking another report from you. But at the end of the day, we need people to make this work. So I'll be interested to see what it says, but I'm gonna be for bringing people on to do the
Okay,
job.
Thank you. So what we're doing is we're referring this report back to staff for more wholesome information at hopefully November or December's meeting. Jason, are you okay with that? Where?
Mr. Mayor, yes, we can do that.
Okay, there it is.
Mr. Mayor?
I'm gonna get a mover and a seconder for this amendment. Go ahead, Council.
Mr. Mayor. I'd like to postpone this to November, December, but can we approve one thing on this? I wouldn't mind improving having Terry Dixon say something about this. I wouldn't mind approving this fire prevention officer going now. The Thorold Fire Department's growing, the city's
It's all
growing.
part of the report and
Can we
it's
just,
all
we can't
related.
approve one part of it?
Well,
No, okay.
it's related to getting the information that
I
we
thought maybe we could
require.
take one part of it.
Okay, and Terry can work with Jason, because obviously you're gonna be working together on your needs and his needs and why this is needed, and that's, you know.
I believe it was a friendly amendment. I can put the motion on the screen and we'll make sure.
Yeah.
Councillor Hanley and DeRose.
What? Counselor Hanley and DeRose, you're good with that now? We're getting staff to bring that back and hopefully in the next 1 or 2 meetings? Okay? Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, through Mr. Mayor, just Jason, if he can, like, I just don't want to keep going over budget before the budget, because that's what we seem to get, this council's gotten in a bad habit of doing this.
No,
And-
the idea of this is to be revenue neutral.
Right, but that's what I want to see, I want it quantified and see these numbers related to to offset the costs. Because I don't think taxpayers should have to pay extra, it's just, we're gonna have so many demands come budget time, that's what I'm worried about. So I just want to make sure that they can quantify the numbers, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is that? Who? Jason, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just going to acknowledge the ask. I understand council's ask. The numbers for our current financial situation for this program are not in the report. I understand that. I can say we're over $500,000 in revenue for this program for this year thus far. But I have no problems with showing it in the report. And I just wanted to reiterate that these positions and anything to do with this program will not be funded by the tax levy. It's fully funded by the program itself.
Okay. Okay. Is everybody good with that? Are you good, Counselor Hanley and Counselor DeRose with that? Okay. Do you have a comment?
Yeah, just a comment, because I know Councillor DeRose brought up these short-term rentals. I know it's going to be brought back in the future, but is there a timeline on when that's going to be brought back? Because I know a lot of other municipalities are moving to short-term rentals, like, what do you call it? Those, I can't even think of the name. Yeah, Airbnbs, that other municipalities are looking at, you have to live there. So if we're going to implement something like that, I'd rather do it sooner than later to have that report come forward. So I'm just looking for timeline of part of the recommendation one.
Do you have a timeline on that, Jason?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, I would love to be able to, but unfortunately, I don't think I can give you a timeline on that right now. As council may be aware, we're facing some staffing shortages. As much as I would like to see it move forward quickly, I don't want to make that promise at this point in time.
Okay.
Okay. There's the amendment, there's the motion as amended. I had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. And then we had the 12-4. Can you put that up? That's from our committee meeting today. Okay, can I get a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor D'Angelo and Councillor O'Hare. Go ahead, Councillor D'Angelo.
I just wanted to amend that, because I know part of it wasn't captured of the discussion we had. I know we were dealing with one specific issue, but we also wanted staff to do a bit of review of the water billing system, because I know West Lincoln was mentioning that they have an account-based system with a portal. I don't know if it's captured in there, but I think if some review can be done, if that's something the city can move to.
You want a complete review of the policy?
Yeah, a complete review of the water billing system and see if there could be any amendments to improve the efficiency of how it's done, and to review what other local municipalities are doing. I did have a chance to speak to our Assistant Director of Finance. So just sort of the expectation of looking at what other communities are doing and how we can improve that. Because there might be a way to get people their water bills without mailing them out, because sometimes there's a concern of not receiving them. Okay, so if that could be captured, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
I'll wait until he gets it up.
A friendly amendment?
Yeah, I'm the mover, so I'm okay with it.
This is Councillor O'Hare.
You're okay with that, Councillor? Okay.
Yeah, that nails it right on. Thanks.
Okay, there it is. We had a mover and a seconder. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, we got some notices of motion. Call on Councillor Hare for his on feeding of wildlife in Thorold. You're up.
That's the notice of motion. You just said it.
Yeah, okay.
Do you want me to say it again?
No. And you'll bring it with the motion. I know where it's coming from because we've had complaints. Okay. I'll call on, and Councillor Decker, your notice of motion will be on physician recruitment, correct?
Yes.
And just to let you know that we'll be meeting this week with the physician recruiter, and whatever information maybe to help you work with the clerk, we'll let you know what we have.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay?
Yep.
Councillor DeRose, I have two. I have flag burning and security lights directed toward neighboring properties, and you're going to work with the clerk on that for
Correct.
next meeting?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Okay. Any other notices of motion before I go to statement by councillors? Okay, statement by councillors. Councillor DeAngelo, your statement respecting the sign bylaw for community groups.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I just wanted to make a couple comments regarding that. And I know in the last report that we saw here that sign complaints have been up. They went from 3 to 15. And when I talk about these signs, these are those plastic signs. Well, the sign bylaw is comprehensive, but a lot of signs are just being placed on public property. So you can get new windows, you can get different avenues of business services. But it's unfair to have these signs up just on public property when you have others are paying to be on bus benches. There's also garbage cans where people are legally paying to be on those, and we have other businesses that legally pay to be in different areas. So it's an unfair advantage, and a lot of these are out-of-town businesses that are doing this. So what like I said, there's been more complaints. This is one thing, and it makes our city look junky. And what happens is it becomes an infestation. One sign goes up, and then next thing you know, 10 more are there. And every single quarter, it's also a driver distraction. There's a whole pile of stuff going on with that. So I know staff has been pretty diligent lately. They did a blitz, and I don't have the numbers here, but maybe our Jason Simpson's still here. He can identify how many signs were picked up during that blitz, or our chief administrative officer, if you can remember.
I don't have the.
Jason's on. Is there a number that, I know you did a blitz and a lot of signs were removed.
250 sounds, when we did for a couple of days, 250s were removed.
Yeah. Okay,
something
say
like
roughly two. I'm just saying, it's a pretty big magnitude of signs that are out there. So I appreciate bylaw doing a blitz and cleaning them up, because it does then reduce other people from doing it. It's disappointing that these businesses come from out of town, drop these in here, you know, and they're competing against legitimate businesses in our community that are actually advertising, doing stuff within our community, and others, they just come to prosper. So it doesn't say much for their business practices if they're not doing things properly. I wouldn't want that company doing my windows, because you never know if they're going to disappear. So anyways, I want to comment and say that the staff did a good job of cleaning that up. And I know staff is also very cognizant, and it's in the bylaw, that we don't want to penalize community groups. Like, that's not who we're aiming to get. We're aiming to get the businesses that don't. Community groups are pretty responsive. They put their sign up, usually within a week after the event, a week up, and then a week after, they take it down. But we need a bit of a registry process. It's very simple, and I know bylaw, I talked to bylaw regarding that. They're gonna work on that. Don't want anything complex, but just this way, it just advises bylaw what signs are up and where they're gonna be. So it gives them an indication that we're not taking the wrong signs down. So I like that component of it. It's very, very important.
There's no discussion, Mike. This is just a statement.
Yeah, so I'm just, those are my key points. And again, staff is working on this. I know that there are limitations with their staffing, but I appreciate what they're doing, because it helps clean up our community, make it look a lot nicer. It puts everyone on a level playing field. So with that, I won't say, I just want to make sure I got all my points here. And I like the fact that they do blitzes every once in a while, because it just cleans up our city. So I appreciate their efforts on this issue.
And Councillor Hanley, on your statement respecting community care event.
Yeah, actually a couple events coming up, tell you the truth. There's a Crime Stoppers event coming up this Sunday at the Greg Furman Theater in Niagara Falls, featuring the Eagles Tribute Band, Hotel California, and I will be the opening act.
Gonna say, are you doing a comedy act?
So I'm gonna be, this will be my biggest venue ever, so it's a promotional thing for Crime Stoppers Niagara, and I'm the...
Wait, is this for Crime Stoppers or for you? Your
Well, I'm hoping that when I'm there, it's not why they invited me, because they're unsolved crimes, you know, but I kind of play into that, you know, too, so that's one event. And also, I'm getting ready, it's on October 27th, this Sunday. It's the Eagles Tribute Band, Hotel California. They're a worldwide band, and they actually reached out to me and invited me to open up for them on the 27th. So,
tell us about the community care.
And then the community care one that's coming up. We just had a good community care one, you could say, there last Saturday. We did. Councillor Decker, Councillor O'Hare, Councillor DeAngelo, Councillor Sentence, myself, Councillor DeRose, yourself. We were able to distribute 251 bags of groceries to all our apartment buildings in town, plus we give the excess food to community care. And I'm getting ready to retire on Thursday, and we're having a community care fundraiser. Some of you may know. I know a lot of you here, Mr. Mayor, you've contributed. Henry has, Anthony has. I do a yearly Christmas fundraiser to support families in the Thorold area. And November 16th, it's at the Canadian Corps.
You have tickets?
I have tickets. I didn't bring them with me, so I didn't want to push them on you, no. But anyways, they're $20 a ticket. We got a live band, Old Plank Road. We got food being catered by Coates's Kitchen in Thorold and Big Reds and my wife, and it looks to be a good event. And all proceeds will be to support families during Christmas. And I can tell you, we've already raised enough funds even before the event right now to support 6 kids and 4 adults. So far.
This event is on, give me the date and.
November 16th, it's a Saturday.
And at what time? 7?
7 to 10 at the Canadian Corps.
Canadian Corps. Okay, mark your calendars.
Mark your calendars, and again, all the families, so we're looking at to going over and above what we did last year. Last year, we were able to support 9 children, 5 adults, plus the homeless. We're already there this year. So we're gonna far exceed what we did the previous year, and all the monies go to Maxine, and Maxine takes care of everything at community care for us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hanley, and we look forward to your retirement.
I'm going to be able to even spend more time with the city. I gotta keep busy somehow. Hey, I can tell you, I'm gonna be at a few of those photo ops now.
All right, we look, and we'll be looking forward to that. Yeah, okay, bylaws. Can I get a mover and a seconder for bills 83, 2024 through 85, 2024? I got a mover, Councillor O'Hare, and seconder, Councillor Decker. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. There being no further business, this meeting is hereby adjourned at 8:12 p.m. This is an early one.